Bruce.
I said no, thank you.
At least he's
Very
polite
cool.
about it.
All right. It is, I think everybody's in and comfortably seated, it looks like. And it is welcome to all of our exceptional agents and investors from across the country. Today is Thursday, November 14th, 2024, and this is All the Leads Mastermind podcast number 504. I have nothing to open with today. Tim, what would you like to have to say for yourself?
I want you to have something to say for a change. Don't you have anything? You got nothing?
Nothing to start with. I'm sure I'll add as we go.
Man, I hate carrying you, but all right, I guess we'll go on without it. Hey, unfortunately, I don't have a big load to talk about either. It's been an interesting couple of weeks. We're moving towards the holiday season, and I think the one thing I'm kind of gratified about is that we're seeing a lot of action and progress among our subscribers. Heard a lot of good things today. We have a guy that won't be joining us today because he's off for a couple of days with his family in the mountains. But I talked to him earlier, and he started in the real estate business last fall, literally around this time. And I met him when my wife and I went to Kentucky. We were looking at a farm back there that we had looked at foolishly. We thought we might want to relocate, and we found what looked like a great description of a piece of property up there. And the pictures looked kind of neat, and it was a great big piece of property at a pretty reasonable price. And so we went there, and we flew up. That was actually when last and only time I think I've flown Spirit. We kind of flew up there. Anyway, so we met him there. He was the listing agent, and he had gotten the listing from a friend of a friend. It was the first listing he ever had, and as it turned out, it was a piece of property on a ridge, and it was like running down this ridge, and it was like 40 acres, about 5 of which would have been significantly usable, and the rest of them would have been not so usable. Plus, it had a great added feature. About maybe 50 yards from the front door of the house that was there was a cemetery also on the property that was some family's cemetery. Anyway, we didn't buy the property, but it's a little detail about the deal, about the guy. And so when we were there, I talked to him about, what we did and all that. And he started getting, after that, he started getting probate leads, and he got them for about 6 months. And then I think he had to go for active duty for like a 3-month thing for the military or something. Anyway, came back. I just heard from him 2 days ago. He's now got 4 listings under contract, and half of them came from probate. And he wanted to let me know that, and he was excited about it. And he's going to restart his leads and all of that. And some of them are from the older leads that he had. So I thought that was really great news to hear, and I was excited to hear from him. So I'm giving you his testimonial in advance.
Tim, we had a guy a couple years ago. I don't remember who it was, but kind of a similar story. I mean, the end part of it is very similar. He knew with us. He was with us a couple months. He came on a call and said, I went on 5 appointments and took 4 listings, all from probate, in the last couple weeks. And we said, oh, that is great. He said, yeah, I expect to do, at this rate, I'm probably going to do 20, 30 deals this year just from probate. And we said something like, how many deals do you typically do? And he said, I just got my license a few days before I signed up with you guys. So it was sometimes, and I think the moral of the story is sometimes not knowing a lot is beneficial, because you don't know what isn't going to work. You act on faith. You go out and start taking action, and you do what we kind of suggest you do, and you get good results. Neither of them had any misconceptions about, what to expect or what people were going to say or anything. So that's a great story, though. So he's actually gotten, how many months worth of leads was that he got his 4 deals from? Do you know?
I think probably 6, maybe 6 months.
Okay.
So I think he started in this month. I think he started in November, December, January, February, March, and April. And then May, June, and July, he was off and not around. And then he came back in August. So August, September, October. In the last 3 months, he's taken down 4 listings.
Great.
So he's very excited, and he's a very, great young man, and real bright, good fella, and all that sort of stuff. So excited to see progress from him. Anyway, that's that info. Just to let you guys know about what we're obviously here for. Obviously, we are all the leads. We our name pretty well says sort of what we do for a living. We provide probate, pre-probate, divorce, aged expireds, pretty much any kind of lead that you want. Those are the ones that we're focusing significantly on right now. We've got another product coming along very soon, which we'll be probably announcing and rolling out next week. That's kind of our plan. And we'll be doing some cool stuff with that. And we also provide print services that go with that. We provide credibility websites. Our company has hosted over 30,000 websites since the early 2000s. We provide just about any kind of support and service that you can imagine. And obviously, this is one of the training things that we provide. It's the great time for you to get on and ask your questions, talk about the things that are important to you. If you've got a thorny situation to deal with, we want to hear about it. We also have a great third-party provider. Matt Melia is on the call with us. Matt, you can wave your hand. That'd be Matt waving his hand there, looking lost in space with a nice new haircut. You all trimmed up there, buddy. Good job. Matt is a company that Matt runs Appointments Today. They make phone calls, and they do a great job of doing that. And they worked very closely with us to provide a carefully tailored program that works with us and them, and pushes the leads information. We push lead information to them. They push all of the contact information to your customers back into your CRM that we provide as part of the leads, which comes as part of the program. We're fortunate also today to have our great cadre of coaches with us. Steve Carney is here. Steve, you can not wave because you're not there. Aline, there he is. Aline is here, and Aline, you can wave. Bill Bird, Bill, you can wave your little hand there. And the ever popular Dr. Bruce Hill. Bruce Hill also runs Probate Mastery, which is the supreme program for massive learning and really kind of the top level of education that you can gather in the world of probate. And Bruce has learned and forgotten more things than I could ever imagine about probate, and has a very successful real estate career, and we're always fortunate to have him. We're also joined by, some people on our staff. You'll see Jody Denoyers here, who's on with us, and Jody is responsible for a lot of our lead gathering, works with our account management team, and make sure that we're doing the right things that we need to go do. And Toby, who you can't see, Toby's hiding as well down there. Toby Gutierrez is our customer support manager. So those are the people that are on with us today. And we may find as we go on with the call that a couple of our other staff will show up. They usually do and are on the call. Oftentimes, one of our MIS folks shows up, and MISs with us are our marketing implementation specialists. That's a group of people that are dedicated simply to providing support for you for the things that you need to go do to help you implement the programs that we do to make things work for you. So if you want to be heard from, and you want to talk with us about the things that are important to you, please raise your hand. You do that by clicking the React button on the bottom of your screen where all the icons are on the Zoom call. And one of those things that you can do when you get down there is the raising of your hand. And when you do that, you're rocking and rolling. So that's kind of how this works, sort of to set the stage. Cesar, I see you have your hand up there. I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself, if you will do that. And the floor is yours, sir.
Hey, Tim, how's it going? Hey, Bruce, how are you?
Good, Caesar. How's it going, man?
It's going good. Hey, I've heard Matt, I think it was Matt that mentioned a while back. So with the leads with the personal representatives, how could I how could I retarget them via social media? So let's say I've made contact with somebody, and we hit it off. I send them my mail, but in terms of retargeting them via social media, how could I do that?
Something as simple as friending them. I mean, just find them, friend them, and then like their stuff, like their content, make comments on it. I know that's generally when a lot of people hear that, they're like, well, that's stalking. I'm like, it's exactly what you're doing. You're nicely stalking them, though, to help them get out of the situation that they're in. And so people are very open to that. And I can't tell you how many times I've had people tell me, wow, that actually worked really well. They now know who I am. Yeah, because of course, if you have a profile that's very polarizing and you're getting into very controversial things, probably don't want to be doing then friending those folks. But if you're pretty even keel, you got no issues.
Okay.
And a lot of people that, that's a great answer, Matt. A lot of people that do that, and who even if you have, well, we just came out of an election cycle, so a lot of people have significantly polarizing viewpoints in regard to the election and all of that. There are reasons to potentially have a business profile and a personal profile. And if you're going to do this, that may be a good thing for you to go do, so that you have both of those, and you can use your personal profile to do it and focus your personal profile, or your business profile, around your business to get that done. But I'll just add to what Matt said. One of the best ways in the world to do that, and most flattering ways, is frankly to catch them posting something. Once you see that, comment on it, and you're hooked right up at that point. They will know that you're there. They'll know that you're looking at them. It's flattering to them. Nobody's going to be angry that you're doing that, and you kind of lock that up. A lot of people think that you've got to use a massive retargeting campaign and use Facebook's toys to go get that done, and that's way too much work for what you need to accomplish. You can get it all done with exactly what Matt said.
Okay,
The other thing too, Cesar, what I would do when you do comment on there, try to ask an intriguing question, just something to get them to open up a little bit about that post. And then they're going to start being like, oh, this guy's commenting on my stuff. Next thing you know, they're going to start to remember you. And if they remember you, they're going to most likely utilize you when it comes down time to sell a house.
okay, got it. Thank you. Thanks for that, Matt.
You can
So
become
Caesar, I'm going to throw in and say that your marketing and your prospecting needs to drive them elsewhere if possible. So if you're doing, let's say, mail marketing, or in your conversations, you're emailing, I would send them off email, off letter, off conversation to a blog or a resource or a page or something that I put Google and Facebook retargeting pixels on.
Okay.
And now you can actually paid advertise and follow people around the internet on whatever they're on. Obviously, if they're on Facebook, it's the Facebook pixel. But if you set up a Google pixel as well and set up kind of a basic AdWords campaign, you're gonna have to go to YouTube if you haven't done this before. You can retarget them with your marketing message if you can get them to some kind of a page or video or resource online. So let's say you're sending a letter out. Your letter might say, if you want to know more about the resources that are available, or if you want to know a timeline, go to www.caesarhouston.com. Okay, now they hit that site, you've pixeled it, and you can target your ad specifically at everyone who's visited your website.
Okay. So do that, implement that on my probate website, and put that Google Pixel.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
And
Yep.
Facebook pixel. I would do both.
Okay.
And the other thing about that is you may want to, a lot of people, this is something that probably good segue. Thanks, Bruce, for saying that, because a lot of people who get their probate credibility website from us, or any kind of a credibility website, whether it's divorce or whatever, they get it, and they just have us set it up for them. We work with you to put the content and the rest of it together. But after that's done, it sits there, and it's fine. It's a brochure website, and it's there for you to drive traffic. So it's performing that function. But the people that do the best with it are the ones that make it a living entity. They literally are working on it. They all come with a built-in blog. If you want to use it for that, you can certainly do blog posts on a regular basis. You can post videos to the blog. You can use it as your base for syndication. But more importantly, to Bruce's point, if you wanted to maybe make a post that said, hey, here's cool stuff that's going on in our market here recently about this big apartment complex that is growing here in South Houston, and here's what I've learned about it. It might be something cool to put up there. You become known as a center of influence in your marketplace, and I would urge you to do that. And if you aren't, you don't feel comfortable doing all that yourself and everything like that, contact us, contact support, have our MIS reach out to you. They'll work with you to get this done in a very economical way and make it easy on you. We're not here trying to nickel and dime you to death. We do, time is money, so we make sure that our people get paid for what they do. But everybody who has our websites ought to be doing more than just letting them sit there. And we encourage you to do that. So I'm glad you asked the question.
Okay. Hey, thanks a lot, Tim. Thanks a lot, Bruce and Matt.
Yep.
Awesome, bud. All right. Other questions, other observations, please raise your hand. Hey, Patty, how are you? Unmute yourself there.
Good. How are you guys doing?
Great. How about you?
Good. Thank you for letting me ask my question. I think I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, but since I'm new in this Macon area and I've never personally done my own investing, I've only had one rental property as far as a real estate agent. And a lot of times because I'm also an auctioneer, whenever I would get investors calling me, asking me if I have off-market properties, like my goal as an auctioneer was always to send it to auction. But how do I get an investor pool set up here? And how would you guys, until I'm ready to actually be that investor, how would you recommend that I would vet somebody that I would want to be putting these probate leads to give a cash offer?
You said you're in Macon, is that what you said?
Yes.
Yeah. And I'll get this out quickly, and then I'm sure the rest of you guys can answer as well. But have you looked into the Macon area RIA?
No, I'm not even familiar with that.
Okay, so in every market of any size in the country, there are real estate investor associations.
Okay.
REI, and I believe Macon is South Georgia RIA, but I'm not sure. I forget. I can't remember exactly. I know there's a great big one in Atlanta, and I think Macon has its own. There's also the Georgia RIA, REIA. The Real Estate Investor Association, that's what they're there for.
Okay.
And so, going to their meetings, you're welcome to go to those. Agents go to them all the time. I would not only go, I'd become a member, be part of it, see what's going on there. You'll learn a lot just by showing up, showing up and sitting at the back having coffee with somebody. You can learn about what's going on in that marketplace, and the people that speak up and ask questions. It's kind of like anything else. You show up, you see what's cooking, and you'll get the lay of the land pretty quickly. You'll also find out, just ask the person sitting next to you, hey, who are the big investors here? Who are the people that, a lot of people bring deals to? And you'll find out those answers pretty fast. And, meet them. You're a personable person. They'll, put on your big smile and say, hey, and it'll work out great for you.
And Tim, if I could just add to that, it's as simple as going to RIA.com, REIA.com, and there'll be a map there. They're all over the country. And I agree with what Tim said, go to a meeting. My experience, if you call and speak to the director of the RIA, find out when their meetings are, say, I'm looking to meet, investors in your area, about 80% of the time he'll say, well, me. They're usually the one running the RIA is the big time investor. When you go to those meetings, probably 5-10% of them are doing something. 90-95% are there to learn. So usually the director of the RIA is your guy in the first place. But I would go to the meeting also. You'll pick up multiple people.
Yeah, Jim, that's an excellent point. Most of the RIAs are, to some extent anyway, are sort of cults of personality. They're started by an investor who, is sort of at least a rock star in their own mind. And in a lot of cases, they are rock stars in the investment community. But we've worked with a number of them in the past, and since the early 2000s, I've been involved directly with them. Actually, we were working with a group of them that were about 30 in 30 major cities across the country. All of them started by an individual investor or a group of investors. And Jim's point is excellent. Find out who the director is. Start there. That's a great place to start for sure.
I have had great luck with Reddit. It's called Buy and Hold and Fix It. I've had great lucks with that one. But the other thing is, once you have your list, which I think would build pretty quickly because it's very common right now, is you got to have a system in your mind, in your market, about how you're going to qualify them and rank them, right? I don't hold any. So if I have a probate or a fix and flip or a hot property, I show it. They got 24 hours to call me and say yes or no, because I'm moving on to the next guy. And then the next thing is you need to know what their funding source is. So is it a group of investors? If it is, what's the approval process? But the really great clients are the ones that have a checking account, 500 grand or more. I don't know your market, and they have no problem showing you a screenshot off their phone. They text it to you with the assets. I have found the guys that are really motivated want to show you they have the money. That's kind of my system. I think Bruce has probably some info on that.
Yeah, no, I actually am looking up that Reddit thread. I think we don't leverage things like Reddit and Quora enough. Those discussion platforms rank really high on Google, and we don't utilize those for even our own content enough. So that's good. I've used Meetup as well. So typically your RIA is going to also post their meetings on meetup.com. So it's kind of one of those things where normally RIA meetings are on Meetup, but just because there's an investor meeting on Meetup doesn't mean that it's a RIA meeting. So there are additional investor meetings and groups and clubs on meetup.com that you might want to check out. So I agree with Bill on the funding source. You do need to vet your investors and make sure that they're really I'm going to close the deal investor. Those of you that are wholesalers on here, we love you. Nothing against you guys. If you're looking for an investor, you probably don't want to take it to a wholesaler though. If you have a deal and you're trying to get it closed, make sure that you're not turning that over to someone who's just doing the same thing that you are. I've made that mistake in the past. So make sure that you're turning it over to someone who actually has the ability and plan to close. Otherwise, partner with a wholesaler or partner with another agent. And I'm not even suggesting you do that. That's the equivalent of what you're doing if you just take it to a wholesaler.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure that you vet them and they have the ability to close.
Hey, Bruce, you mentioned Quora and Reddit as well. For those of you, and I'm sure that probably all of you know this, but if not, I will spell it out for you. It's Reddit and Quora is Quora. Those are both sources online that are basically social media driven places where information gets posted, and you can find it. Reddit is a high communication area. Quora is a great place to find answers to questions. It's sort of it is a non-AI driven kind of chat GPT of information. You can find all kinds of information there on lots of things. So they're both there, and those are definitely places to go look for sure. And sometimes we take it for granted that people understand our jargon and acronyms and all those things. So I'll just spell it out for drill.
And Tim, by the way, Steve, we see you. Kenneth corrected me. It's not RIA.com, it's nationalria.org.
Thank you. I saw that. Yeah.
You're welcome.
You were close, Tim. You were really close. It was good.
Close enough.
Thank you, guys.
Hey,
Sure.
Steve, you're gonna have to speak up loud here and butt in like everybody else does. What up, buddy?
Okay, so the other thing too, I would recommend to Patty is get there early. Okay, if you can, maybe about 20, 30 minutes early as people come in, because then it's a lot of times the RIAs, they may have a formal presentation or something they're focusing on for the meeting, but that'll give you an opportunity to kind of see who's in the room and, let them know what your interests are. And I suspect you're going to get plenty of interest, but I totally agree with what Bruce and Bill said about, verifying you got somebody who's able to close when they're supposed to. Okay, because that's key.
Yeah, and I think it would probably, just for additional help here, it'd be good for you to have a list of a few questions that you want to get answered when you go there. If you're going to try to vet somebody at that meeting and you're going to maybe, have the opportunity to have a reasonable conversation with a half a dozen people, ask them a list of serious questions. How many deals have you done in the last year? What's the size deal that you're looking for? I think somebody else mentioned, funding sources. Where's your money coming from? Out of your pocket. I mean, you got to find a nice way to put that, but
Yeah.
it's more, you don't want to say, are you here representing a hedge fund, or, is it your own money that you're spending? But find ways to put that, and ask them if there are specific markets that they're looking at as well. And also have your USP, your elevator pitch, ready to rock and roll, so that you know what you are able to provide to them as well, and why you are good at what you do. Have your story together, your history together. Maybe even I would go there with a handout. I'd go there with a piece of paper that, was a flyer with my info on it. Say, let me give you this. I'm serious about this. And, be prepared. It's the old Boy Scout motto. You can Girl Scout motto it. Go there and be prepared, and be ready to show yourself as a cut above, just somebody who's there to test the water. You've got a lot of experience. You're just moving into a market. I'm sure that you're going to find a lot of people that are going to want to work with you.
Yeah.
And Tim, we could probably talk about this all day. Bill had something. One other thing just occurred to me is you're going to get a lot of buy and flip investors at the RIA. If you run another simple way to find a buy and hold investor, you can probably just go to the tax rolls or MLS and see who owns multiple property in your area.
Mm-hmm.
That might be a good buy and hold investor. And you might meet some of them at the RIA, but sometimes they'll pay a little more for the property if the rent's good than an investor.
So the last thing that I always ask in my qualifying is, what is your return on your money? Right? Every market's different. So if someone in my market says, on $1 million deal, all in, I want to make 300,000, they're not a client, because it's just not there anymore. Now, if they were to say 150, yes, that's a deal that I know that I can perform, right? I can fulfill what they're looking for. So having an investor that has unrealistic returns is a big waste of time, and it took me years to figure that one out.
Also, another kind of separate the players from the wannabes in that is to ask them questions about, what exactly are they funding? In other words, will they fund, the property and repairs? Will they only furnish, they want a specific, do they want the property in a particular condition? Just the kind of the normal conversational questions you might want to ask. Some investors are willing to not only furnish the money, but also do it with the idea in mind that if repairs are needed and all that, they'll fund it all. And, that sometimes has bearing on how much they want to get back, because their risk is higher if they're putting it out there, if they're funding, bricks and sticks. So you kind of got to look at those questions, but have your list of questions together, and you have nothing to fear. You walk into that, and I don't think you're afraid of it anyway, but I think you'll find it'll be a lot of fun for you, and you'll answer every question you have in one night to at least get started. You go to 4 of those meetings, you'll probably own the place. Okay. All right, great question. Thanks. Very, very thought-provoking question. Hey, Mr. Matt, I see you're here, buddy. We don't have your hands up in the air. How's things going on the dialing for dollars front there, Bubba?
Good. We just signed up a guy actually in my local market this last week, and we got him 4 opportunities in the first week. So that's pretty awesome.
That's great. That's great. I didn't know there were that many opportunities in your local market.
Yeah, it is a small area, but no, it's working out very well.
Is one of them, you have a relocating quarterback that's moving out and you're trying to, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Our quarterback situation is very, very painful.
Yeah.
That whole team is painful.
Yeah, it's a tough year, buddy. It's a tough year.
That it is.
All right. Hi, Jim. I see you, buddy. Are you hungry? You want food? Is that what it is? Hey, Connor, will you put Jim out of his misery and let him speak?
That was it. I lost the internet for a minute, and whatever point I was making, I made it, I think. So I'm back. Thank you. I was trying to get unmuted.
All right. All right, Bruce, I'm gonna ring your bell here in a second and just kind of have you come up. You've been doing a lot of interaction this week with folks, and I just was going to ask you how that's been going as well.
So you're gonna ring my bell in a minute, or that this is your ringing of my bell?
It was a New York minute. You're up.
Okay, got it. Yeah, no, we've been having some good interaction. We had a live probate foundations class yesterday. If you guys missed that, there's going to be another opportunity here in a couple of weeks. For those of you that have taken probate mastery, foundations is more of the 30,000-foot view of what you learn in mastery. If you've taken mastery, you're not going to learn anything that you haven't heard on foundations. But it's kind of for that person that wants to dip their toes in the water a little bit and get some practical steps that you can go implement right away. This business is as easy or as complicated as you want to make it. If you want to make it super complicated, I'm going to tell you that you need to at least get some of the basics down and start taking action on those basics and fill your pipeline up. And then start adding complexities over time if that's what you want to do. Do not make it too complex too early, though. It needs to start pretty basic for the majority of us. And the reality is we're filling our pipeline. That's what everything is all about. I was having a conversation with someone earlier on how they were looking at closings. How many contracts do I have? How many closings do I have? And I told them I really don't care how many contracts and closings you have right now. I don't. I care whether you're putting people in your pipeline every single month, whether you're having conversations and identifying people that are going to sell a house every month. So with the approach that I take, I basically plan on converting 20, 25, sometimes 30%. So let's say 20% at a minimum. 20% of people that I put in my pipeline, I plan on converting those on the back end. That might look like a deal this month, none next month, 2 the month after, 10 the month after, 1 the month after, none, 2, 15. Okay. That's the way that probate kind of pops if you're consistently focused on filling your pipeline. Now, once your pipeline is full, that's where you need to have a great follow-up and marketing plan to be remembered and moved to the top of their mind, because you got to realize most people know realtors. Okay. If you're an investor, I would say that there's fewer people know real estate investors, but most people know realtors. So when it comes to selling, they normally have a hierarchy of who they think about. So your mission, fill the pipeline early, have conversations, identify who you believe is going to sell. Okay. Not who says, "Hey, I am selling in 3 months." That's not a realistic conversation in this space. It happens sometimes, but it's more realistic that they tell you it's too early. I don't know. That's a seller. So you identify who you believe is going to sell. You keep in touch with them, and you begin over the next couple of months to climb the hierarchy of real estate professionals in their mind. If you do a good job, you'll take first place and you'll convert at least 20% of your pipeline into deals. So what really matters, and the only thing that really matters, is how many people can you put in your pipeline? That's the first thing that really matters. You want to go do retargeting pixels like we talked about with Caesar earlier? Great. Go do it. You want to get really sophisticated on your YouTube channel? Great. Go do it. You want to build the best website out there? Great. Go do it. I'm all for those things. I am not for those things if you're not filling your pipeline. And that's what we talk about with foundations and then the mastery class. So to kind of bring it full circle, I wanted to come back to that. So you guys just need to start conversations. That's it. Put people in your pipeline, and then you can add all the complexity your heart desires after you've got a full pipeline that starts producing deals.
And Bruce, while you're saying that, I just focused. I mean, that is so not specific to just probate. It's specific to any type of sales. You know, we've got an awesome sales team. And while you were saying that, I was just focusing. We've got a guy with us for years that had absolutely horrible month last month. Like, what's going on? The second or third day of this month, he had 13 sales. He's having his best month this month. It's not that he did anything different last month than this month. He just had a pipeline, and for whatever reason, you know, things run in streaks. You like you just said, 15 one month, one the next, 8, 4. You got to look at the big picture. But if you keep it on that pipeline with any type of lead, but especially probate because they season so well. So I think it specifically applies to probate. So great point.
Yeah. So the thing I just want to add to what Bruce said is if you heard, it was structure, it was not complicated structure, right? It was pretty simple. It was the bare minimum of what we all should be doing in our business. And as real estate agents, someone that's been doing it long, I know in the beginning I wasn't very good at it. But what I have learned is that all the leads and my past clients will feed my family as long as I am consistent in doing the same things over and over again.
Yep. And sometimes those same things are a little bit easy not to do. I almost said hard to do. They're actually very easy to do, but they're easy for a lot of us not to do as well. So that's the most important key, is making sure that you are that you're doing the basic things, doing the fundamentals. And go ahead, Bill.
I'm sorry. Well, sorry to cut you off, Bruce, but you got on the right track. The thing that I just want to say is what's great about all the leads, as your business increases, right? They have the tools, you know, the cold calls, the mailings, the brochures, they changing it. You definitely need to tweak things for your market. And I personally believe no county is the same. That's my opinion.
Amen.
But, you know, so what's great about all leads, you start really small with, like I did. I didn't make any money for 9 months, but after 9 months, it was very consistent, and it's always been consistent. So, you know, that's the thing I love about listening to Bruce is he breaks it down to really simple, easy steps that some of us just don't do. And I can't say that I have not missed a step, but I've regretted it when I did.
Oh, I miss
I want
the
to
steps all the
piggyback.
time too. Yeah.
Hey, Bill, this is very appropriate. I always loved your stock in the pond in your front yard analogy.
Oh my God, yeah.
I've heard, and you haven't mentioned that in years, so maybe share that with everybody.
Well, I got a call from KV Core because they had changed it and they took my pond out of my tags. I'm all, dude, why'd you take my pond out? He's like, dude, it was huge. So anyway, so they're putting it back now. So KV Core is a great system. It's still ironing things out. It's not, it doesn't have a good dialer or even a dialer really. But I think for a lot of people, I think KV Core gives you the ability to tag things and break it down any way you want.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, share that pond in your front yard analogy, if you would, real quick. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. So I categorize my leads real quick. Day 1, day 90, 90 plus, 180, 6 months to a year, and then the pond. And how I look at the pond is I'm always feeding the pond with all the leads every single month, and I market them and I keep going. And that pond keeps feeding me all the time. Mine's pretty huge. You know, I'm always shocked at someone calling me 4 years later, 5 years later, from somebody from that pond. And, you know, the big thing is I use a mail house for all my holiday stuff. And I hit them 7 times a year with holiday, right? And then I send them market reports. The other thing is HomeBot. I think everybody should get their clients on HomeBot because that creates a great conversation about the market going up, going down. I get emails all the time. How's my neighborhood going? And it just creates interaction that's natural without having to create it. But the thing I always remember, it started with all the leads, all the leads.
And Bill, I'll let it go after this, but I always loved, you said some days you'd go cast your line in the water and you don't get any bites,
Yeah.
but it doesn't bother you because you know you've stocked the pond and they're not going anywhere. If they don't bite today, they'll bite tomorrow. I love that analogy.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
Hey, Lavelle asked a question, and I am gonna deal with your question there for a second. So Lavelle asked, he's looking at a couple of leads that he has that are all marked as do not call on the list. And that's one of the reasons that we talk about needing, Lavelle, to make sure that you're doing mail, that you're using alternative methods to contact people. We give you all those phone numbers, and it's up to you what you do with them. I also think that you may want to talk with Matt and his group about. Matt can give you better advice on that as well. And both of those are good answers, but without question, you need to be getting that mail out there because that's permitted, and you put the right mailing piece in their hands, that's where you need to start. And that will start down the road there. And then I definitely urge you to talk to Matt Milia's folks. I also want to add one other thing. A lot of people, we get off this and people will, after the call, come back and say, hey, what's the deal with, how do I get in touch with Bruce and all that? And how do I get into Mastery? And all you do to get started with that is go to alltheleads.com/training. And on that page, you'll find all of the training initiatives that are currently there. And Mastery, you just find it on the page, click the button, and off you go. And you'll get right to Bruce, and he'll get signed up and get you squared away, and you'll be smarter than a third grader very soon. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hey, and just so everyone knows, Mastery is a certification program. And it does take about 15 hours to get through if you go on demand to get through. So it's 15 hours of content that goes over everything from marketing to what to say on the phone, how to run the appointments, how to build your team, how to create a unique selling proposition that's different from your typical realtor that's doing the same thing as you. And more about understanding the process itself. And I just got cut out. Did I lose you guys?
No,
Yes,
you're
you
there,
did.
I
Bruce.
can hear you.
Your picture just froze, but you're good.
Okay.
The visual improvement, but we still hear your voice.
Yep.
Well, somebody else talk.
Well,
No,
just
we
real-
can hear you. We can hear you fine, Bruce. Go ahead.
He's working on his camera. Let him get that fixed.
Oh,
And
okay.
while we're doing that, let me answer another quick question here. So, Patty did look, and you found that Macon does not have a RIA. Is that what you said, Patty? Yeah. So I know that Georgia RIA is a big RIA, and it may simply be that the Atlanta RIA is such a dominant presence in that market that there's not a lot of traction for Macon. So you may want to find that. I also believe that there is one, I think south of you, heading down towards Valdosta and all that. I think it may be like a South Georgia RIA or something like that. And I really don't remember. I'm talking through my hat because I don't remember. But I remember when we were dealing with it, I definitely know there was two RIAs in Atlanta. There was one which was pretty much metro, and then there was another one that was based out of Gwinnett. And so that's kind of the north side of Atlanta. Don't know about south side and heading down toward Macon, but I would certainly say if nothing else, drive the 100 miles and go to a Georgia RIA meeting. They're big and exciting to go to. They do a great job. Bruce, I see you're back there, bud. You all better now?
Yeah, I think I'm better. No, I think that's also something to say about RIA. I can speak to the RIA in my area. It's the Triangle RIA, and it's the Triangle RIA, but they have chapters that won't necessarily be seen online. in a lot of the outlying areas. And so on a monthly basis, they'll have a meeting for people in Durham. They'll have a meeting for people in Raleigh. They'll have a meeting for people in Fayetteville, which is an hour and a half away. A meeting for people in Greensboro. So just because it's sort of an Atlanta-based RIA or a South Georgia-based RIA doesn't mean that they won't have meetings for where you are. I would be really surprised if they didn't.
Yeah, and it's often the case they have, it's like sub meetings, like Bruce said, they'll have a great big meeting and, have 200-300 people there. And then, throughout the month in between the meetings, if they're meeting monthly, they may have smaller meetings at the IHOP where they have a community room or lots of other places. Oftentimes these days, the boards of realtors have, kind of wised up and they're allowing RIAs to operate out of the boards. If they have a large board of realtors have made a big facility. I know here in Florida, a lot of them have spent some money and built some pretty palatial offices for the boards, and they have big meeting rooms there, and they'll let them meet there. They do it. So, there are lots of places to find them, but I'm sure you'll look around, and I'll do a little looking as well. And I'm going to ask the other coaches to do the same thing, see if we can help Patty out and find anything else that might help her to get this done. And we'll get that to Toby, and Toby, I'll ask you to reach back out to her once we find some info, if we find more than we did. Hey, Winston, I was literally asking you to unmute there. I just wanted to check in and see how your relocation was going and how you're finding the opportunity to sort of rebuild your business now that you've moved.
It's been a journey, moving 2,200 miles with 30 years worth of stuff, 126 boxes. I stayed busy working up to the day the Packers showed up, shipping a car, shipping a horse, shipping 2 dogs as big as horses. It's been nuts. I've been wanting to jump in, but I just discovered a glitch between the Alabama realtor group there and the Department of Real Estate in California. I was ready to take my reciprocal test. They said I can't until I get what's called a license history certification. That's going to take 5 weeks, according to the DRE in California. So we're working on getting that handled. So until then, I'm just steadying up, listening to you guys, and getting prepared.
Who do you have to pay to get that fixed?
Exactly.
I tried that. And there was no amount of express fee I could pay. They wouldn't let me do it online. It had to be mailed, so I express mailed it. But they said with the volume of mail and correspondence they have, there's no way they could do it in probably 5 weeks and maybe more with the holidays. So kind of got my hands tied a little bit, but still networking, still going to meetings, still trying to find out who's who in probate and estate attorneys here. I'm going to be joining the Chamber of Commerce soon. So I'm trying to keep my feet in the water and just get my license as soon as I can.
Well, keep us posted,
That's
brother.
a great attitude.
Keep us
Failure
posted.
is not an option, guys.
Yes.
Man, I'm sure it's not for you. You're a dominant player, and you will be there soon.
Well, thank you.
You'll own that Alabama market, and Patty's going to own Georgia pretty soon. We're going to own the South.
Well, I'm in the Huntsville, Madison County area, so anybody has any need for help out here, happy to do it. I'm working on building a B&I chapter as well. Got to be successful. I have an expensive wife.
There you go.
You got horses?
Somebody's got to feed those horses, right?
Well, they're not my horses. They're my girls' horses. I just get the bills.
I understand how that works. My wife has horses, goats, dogs, cats, and chickens. Got to keep it moving.
My
Hey,
daughter's
I see you
3
got
horses.
that out there, and what's cooking with you, brother?
I just wanted to get a request into Bruce and ask him to send me some information or a contact, a link or something on a JV option. I've got working on something that's that the seller is talking about doing something with a bank and a builder, and I have the property listed, and he's just so turns out that he's on my list for another probate. So I found him first, and then a probate is behind the deal that I'm working there. And I'm just busy delivering pumpkin bread right now. I got about 40 loaves delivered. I got about 100 more to go before, and it'll go beyond Thanksgiving. So it's great to go in and talking to past clients who executors and heirs within probate, and we just the conversations just flow from there, and then they start asking me questions about what do I need to do for this, and how do I need to keep out of probate, and what who do you know of, somebody that can help me with this kitchen stuff like that. So it's just a joy to be out there, and I'm having a good time. But there's always something good going on.
Hey, I want to thank you for responding promptly and sending me your pumpkin bread recipe. I have a question. Is that okay if I share that with other people?
Well, yeah. But no, that's you, buddy.
All right.
I have not put a copyright on it, but we'll just between us buds, okay?
All right, we'll do that for now. I'm sure there's lots of other pumpkin bread recipes out there, but none of them are as good as yours. And we're going to actually make it, and I'll see if I can attest to it being as good as you've alluded to it being.
This is the best one that I've had over the last 5-7 years that I've been delivering pumpkin bread. I got a new baker. We did taste tests on this recipe, on the old recipe, and I said, bring all of the ingredients to the table. Let's and so I said, it tastes metallic. Something's metallic in here, and she said, well, take your finger and dip on this and this and this, and I said, aha, it's the nutmeg. Have the nutmeg, double the cinnamon. And she did, and this is what you have right there.
All right, brother. Well,
I want to say,
Yeah.
sorry, Tim, go ahead.
No, that was it. I think Roger's done as well. What are you going to say, Eileen?
I was just going to add to Roger, it's in the baker, not the recipe, right? So there's so many of us, there's so many agents, there's so many investors, and yet we're all unique. So I feel like it's the person who's baking it that makes it come out a certain way.
Yeah, and that's also a great analogy as well for lots of stuff that's going on. Bruce, I'll camp on something Bruce said earlier. Bruce talks about wonderful things that you can say and great answers that you can give people, and you can have 10 people say the same sentence. And, 7 out of those 10 people, it's going to be received really well. And the other 3 people that are going to hear it are going to instantly hate the person that said it because of the way they said it. It's intonation, it's all of that. And the main reason that I'm bringing that up is the more comfortable you are with the things you're saying, the more palatable the things that you're saying become. As it becomes second nature to you, you say it in a way that's always received well. The more you say it, the people that you're talking to train you to say it because you subconsciously learn when I say it this way, I see their eyes light up. I see them smile. That's the way you say it going forward from that. You're not conscious of doing it. And my point being, do it over and over and over and over. Get out there and break eggs, get things done. And, that's the main thing to go do. We talked last week, somebody was talking about knocking on doors. And Bernie isn't on here this week, but our friend Bernie's out knocking on doors in a marketplace that I would not necessarily have thought that would be something that would work. He's in a kind of a very wealthy area, but I didn't think about door knocking, and he's out there doing it and doing well. And it's a great opportunity to meet people and grow your presence in the marketplace. And those are basic blocking and tackling things. It's the way the business used to be. You used to, become a new agent, and the broker would, draw a circle on a map and say, "There's your farming area. Go knock on every door in that area." And that's the way it worked, and it's not the way it works anymore. These days, we depend on social media and all the wonderful tech things that we can go do to make things happen. And there's no substitute for face to face ever. At some point, you got to hand somebody a piece of paper. They got to put ink on it, and you might as well learn how to do that really quickly by getting in front of them and talking to them.
Most of you have read it, but that old book, Outliers, 10,000 hours, do something for 10,000 hours and you become unconsciously competent. I mean, but you got to start somewhere. It doesn't take you that long to start getting results. So yeah, the more, what is that? The more things change, the more they stay the same. Yep.
Well, and I'll just share a little bit of quick personal story here. I played sports all through high school, a little bit in college, and a little bit after that as well. And I hated to practice. Loved to play, hated practicing. I was lazy, and I spent a lot of ways trying to figure out how to get out of doing that. But I was always ready to play when the game came around and anxious to go do that. And I didn't learn until later in life about, muscle memory and repetition and how valuable that all was. And I just thought coaches were there to torture me. And the reality is that the more you practice something, the better off you're going to be. And it applies to every single thing in your life. The more you can have the opportunity to do it, the people that you're doing it with, they will shape you as a person. They will shape you into the person that you want to be if you just look at them and listen to what they have to say when you're talking back to them. I'll get off my stump now. But Bruce, anything you'd like to kind of finish up with there? We don't have any hands in the air. I know that's kind of a off the wall kind of a thing for me to say, but there you go. Oh, you're muted again, buddy.
There we go. All right. I already got my soapbox speech out of the way. You guys don't make things too complicated. In the beginning, do the basics first. Basics first. You can complicate things later. If you look at the business and you say it's too complex, I need to know everything before I stop. Okay. Go back to a couple of basic things. If that means you knock on doors or make a couple of phone calls, great. Go do it. Okay, walk into attorneys' offices, just start conversations. You will figure out what works conversationally and what doesn't work with some experience. Okay, if an attorney tells you to get out of their office, don't say that next time. Okay, if someone says
bad.
yeah, I mean that's the only way that we really learn. Yeah, you can absolutely learn from some of the mistakes that us coaches on here have made. I want you guys to learn from some of our mistakes, but I know that you're only going to retain about 10% of our mistakes and corrections. You'll retain 90% of your own mistakes and corrections that you make. So
I'll just add one other quick thing, and then Jim, I'm going to let you send us home for the week here. Arm yourself with some paper. And what I mean by that is one of the best things that you can do to work on what makes you unique, your unique selling proposition and all of that, is to put together a handout flyer, put together a leave behind piece, put together, a trifold, something that talks about how you want to be perceived. If you're not doing it yourself, if somebody reads this document that's in their hand and it's got your picture on it and talks about who you are and how you present yourself and what you specialize in and all of that, putting that together will help you immensely know what you want to say, because it's a simple act, and it's scientifically proven. The simple act of putting words on paper, they stick in your brain better. And as you create that document, that will help. And our MIS people are great at doing that with you. They'll be happy to work with you on the content and all of that, and we'll be happy to print it for you and put it out. You can include it in your holiday card. You can do it as leave behind. You can take it when you're talking to an attorney. It's something that people can have to look at after you're not there and not in front of them. So work on that together. We'll be happy to work with you on it. Come visit with us if you're not a subscriber. Be a great time to become one. You don't want to get through the end of this year and be doing the same things you did last year. We have great things to offer. We're the best in the business at it, and our subscribers are the best in the business at things they do. So you're with a great group of folks here. We want to hear your successes in the future. Jimmy, it's that time, brother.
Before we go, we have our second Patty of the day. Patty DeYoung is saying she would like a coaching call. Patty, did somebody already take care of her? If not, just go to support@alltheleads.com and say, I would like my monthly coaching call. And somebody will get right back to you.
Yep.
And your coach might be on here and reach out. But well, another great session, guys. Thank you for showing up for All the Leads, probate, real estate, and life coaching. That's kind of the direction it took today, and it was I think it was a great call. I want to thank everybody who showed up today. I want to particularly thank Cesar, both Patties, Matt, Steve, Bill, Bruce, Winston, Roger, Aline, and a little bit of a teaser. Tim started the call off. We are going to introduce a new product probably next week, if not the week after. As most of our products, without giving anything away, it's going to be
I guess that means,
excellent
I guess that means you're not going to say anything more about it right now, right? That's good.
I'm just going to say it's particularly great for investors. So if you're an investor, it's good for realtors and investors. But if you're an investor in particular, make sure you show up on the next couple of calls. And I want to challenge each of you, take one idea that inspired you on this call, go out and put it into practice, and please come back next Thursday and share the results with the group. Have a great week, everybody. Take care.
Yeah, and Patty will be reaching out to you shortly. Bye-bye.